What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. And today I have a story time that was sent in to me by a subscriber about something that I just thought was insane. Basically, their teacher and another teacher at the school were competing to get promoted. One of them got the job and then proceeded to punch the one that lost in the face just because it had gotten that competitive. I thought it was pretty nuts. It's not every day you see a principal going back and punching a teacher. So I knew it would make a pretty good story time. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so this story actually has quite a little bit of build up to the point where the principal punches the teacher in the face. Thankfully, it wasn't like he just snapped one day and just started hitting teachers. Not that it makes it any better, he still did punch a teacher. But basically, there were two teachers, both of them taught in the same grade, and both of them were pretty competitive. They were the two teachers that were always like trying way too hard on field day. And it just so happened that the principal that was in charge of the school the year before they ended up getting into this fight was retiring, and as part of her retirement, she wanted to pick someone to replace her. And the two teachers that were like very competitive, school spirity type of people were the top two in the running. And before all this went down, they were pretty good friends. Like, they didn't hate each other, they were just competitive more than anything. And because they were both the competitive teachers, like, they would do stuff with their classes together and whatnot, like go outside and have a race, but their classes would be the ones racing type of thing. And it started to get really intense right when the principal kind of let them know that they were both in the running, because they both wanted to win and they both were so competitive they were willing to play dirty. And immediately rumors about both of the teachers started to swirl around the school, and they were just absolutely insane rumors, like not even anything anyone could believe. Oh yeah, he had made a secret tunnel system under the school. Like, okay, cool rumor, I guess, but you're telling me dude really brought out the shovel and made a secret tunnel system under the school? If anything, that would make me want to make him principal even more. He knows how to use the secret tunnel system to get me out of class. And then a rumor would go back about the other teacher basically being like, yeah, he eats nothing but Vienna sausages with mayo on them. Just like weird rumors about each other. And the kids, which were a lot younger than the adults, believe it or not, could even tell that it was just these two guys spreading rumors about each other to try to hurt the other person's chance of becoming principal. It was as if like all the friendship they had had, that didn't matter. All that mattered now was getting the promotion. And so it was really dramatic. They started pitting their class against each other too, just beyond the rumors, which is when you know you're going too far, all right? If you ever find yourself being like an elementary school teacher in a competition with another teacher, and you start treating your classroom more like a child army than a classroom to like win whatever competition you're in, that's kind of weird. You know, you're not Joseph Kony. These aren't your children's soldiers. You can't be telling them to like mess with the kids in his class on the playground and make them upset so that way when they go back to his class, they'll misbehave. But that's the type of stuff that they were both doing to the other one. Like, they would be like, okay, if he's in charge of taking you somewhere for a class, like a teacher escorting kids through the hallway, misbehave and make him look bad. Like, they were really trying to pit these classes against each other. So not only are they spreading rumors, but all the kids are getting a little bit exhausted of it because they're caught in the middle of this feud. And even other teachers would comment on it. Like, they would have to go to music class or PE with a different teacher, and the teacher would always say that, like, oh, is the competition between them interrupting your classes due? Because it's getting pretty intense. They didn't want to make rumors with the kids, but everything we've said so far is just what they were able to see and hear in the classroom. Apparently, it was making its way into like the teacher's lounge too. The person that sent this to me had a relative that worked in the front office, and they would hang out with them after school sometimes while their parents were coming to pick them up. And they were overhearing conversations from like a bunch of teachers saying that no matter which of them became principal, the way that they've handled this made them look both very unprofessional. Because you know how like little kids, when they're running for class president or whatever, will put posters up in the hallway saying, oh, if you vote for me, I'll put soda in the water fountains, all that stuff. And it's obvious that just a lot of the stuff that they're saying they want to do can't happen because you're only like as powerful as the student government is. Well, they were doing something equally as cringy, but they were both full-grown adults and just acting like the principal had total power. Like, one of them had said that if he became principal, he would try to double their their salaries, which just is not how it works. If you work for a public school, your salary isn't decided by your principal. And on top of that, if you decided to pay every teacher double, you probably would get fired pretty quick as principal, because the state would come in and say, why does your school cost twice as much money to run as every other school in the state? And whenever they were both in the room in the teacher's lounge, apparently they would just argue with each other. They would never argue in front of the kids, but they would literally get into arguments in the teacher's lounge that would escalate to the point where they were screaming at each other, and other teachers would have to get in between them because they thought it was going to break into a fist fight. They were just taking this entire thing way too seriously. And as for why all of this was going on and like they didn't end up losing out on the job or somebody else getting promoted, well, as I said, it was the principal's last year. She was an older lady. It wasn't like she was retiring the first year she could have retired. She had hung on for a while, and she had gotten to that point where she was no longer like retirement age. She was that like unfunctional old, and that's no offense to anyone, but when someone maybe doesn't really notice the details that well anymore, they're a little forgetful. Well, because of that, she also had a little bit of a hard time moving around. Like, she had slowed down, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. She was still a principal. She was doing a fine job running the school, but she wasn't spending a lot of time in the teacher's lounge. She wasn't spending a lot of time talking to everyone anymore. And whenever she would be around, they would be on their best behavior because they realized she was in charge of the promotion. You know, making everybody's life have a bunch of problems when she wasn't around, sick. But if she was around, it was as if, dude, they were being the template for the greatest teacher of all time. She walks into the class, and that, kids, is how you can use the power of English to defeat bad guys. And never forget that you can be your own Iron Man with the power of reading. And she's like, wow, that's such a beautiful message. She leaves. Okay, go over to his class and like use silly string to make sure none of their homework is readable. They were just really trying to get the promotion. That's all that they cared about. And even some parents took notice. Like, they had this group of parents that would come in and volunteer through the week to help the teacher with things like hanging stuff up in the wall and whatnot. And they ended up coming into the office after school, a few of them, and mentioning that they thought they were taking this a little bit too seriously. I always hated when teachers would try to, like, get us involved in their drama when I was in school. Like, believe it or not, I don't care what you and your 37-year-old friend are arguing about. That seems like your problem. You're probably just upset that he didn't have funny enough Minion memes or something on Facebook. Like, dude, please don't get anyone else involved. Especially the parents. Like, did you think the parents were gonna be hyped about you being the kid's principal? But they had asked parents to like spy on the other one, try to get dirt on each other. And so the office, when all these parents are reporting it, are like, yeah, it's definitely nuts. But for the rest of the year, they just kind of went back and forth. And finally, the end of the year comes. There was not really any insane events other than them just kind of doing everything I had described earlier. It wasn't like any of them went above and beyond and like put a fish in the air conditioning unit or the other or whatever. But the time comes and the principal who's retiring ends up picking one of them. And it didn't really matter which one she picked. They both would have been crappy to the other one. Like, they had just put way too much into this where they were not going to be cool with the results if it wasn't them. So either way, the school knew they were in for a year of a very complicated, aggressive, angry year just because they were going to be going back and forth. But they, on the last day of school, announced the new principal, introduced him, and everyone's like, yay, whatever. But the teacher that had lost during this assembly thing where they're introducing the new principal is like pouting like a little kid, arms folded, looking down. He's not like making noises or saying anything, but he's definitely making it clear he's not happy. And it was almost like he wanted people to ask him what was wrong so he had an excuse to talk about it. Like, you know when someone is just trying to act like they don't want to be talked to, but in a way where they definitely do? I'm so sad. I don't want anyone to ask me what I'm so sad for, okay, guys? Just don't even, because it's such a long story. Like, that was kind of the vibe he's giving off as he's pouting, is he wanted somebody to be like, what's wrong? So he could talk about how I deserve the principal job. But whatever, the year ends, and now the subscriber is no longer going to be in their class, so he thinks it should be the end of all the issues. And on top of it, there's no more competition. Like, yeah, whatever, they got competitive during the year, but one of you got the promotion, And now you have the entire summer to calm down too. Like, I could understand being frustrated, but after 3 months, you think you'd be able to go, okay, it's not going to be that bad, whatever. It's a competition that happens. If you're going to be competing with someone for a promotion, one of you is going to get it, the other one is not. Like, that's just the reality of it. It's going to be okay. Well, I guess neither one of these guys could really do it and not get over it, because the principal decided to be petty to the teacher, and the teacher decided to repay the pettiness with a little bit of trash talk as well. Basically, the principal had taken the guy out of the classroom that he had for like the last 6 years he taught at that school and moved him to the worst one, which was in the portable, which was not very swag. And on the first day of school, they also had an assembly to talk about everything. And so he recognized his teacher from the year before, who was the one that got moved into the portable, the subscriber. Asked him how his year was going, and he was like, not very good. The principal moved me into a portable. I hate it. The air conditioning's broken. And listen, yes, it's a very, very petty thing. Like, let's be honest. He already lost the competition. He already is not the principal. To move him out of the classroom that he's had for the last 6 years to a portable classroom with no air conditioning is just kind of like pooping on his yard. You know, like, okay, technically you're not doing anything wrong, but it's obvious to everyone around you were trying to be petty. Well, whatever, it gets quiet, everyone sits down, the teacher that he had the last year goes over to his class, and the principal comes out and is like, all right guys, who's having a great year? And that's when the teacher pulls his petty move, because he yells something out about, I'm not having a great year because you're the principal. And obviously a bunch of the kids start laughing because it's an elementary school, and if I heard like a teacher call out the principal, I would have laughed too. Are you kidding me? I feel like when you're in elementary school, for some reason, the principal is like a cartoon villain. I don't know why. I think it was codename Kids Next Door mainly, like all the cartoons just making the principal seem like a prison warden. But if anyone made a joke about the principal, I would have been like, that's a knee slapper. The principal, I don't know if he didn't know who said it or if he was just trying to add insult to injury and make him feel irrelevant, goes like, who said that? And the teacher stands up and goes, I did. And at that point, the principal knew who it was. And it's something out of a Star Wars movie, bro, like Luke, I am your father type of moment. These former best friends, divided by the promotion, are now fighting. But the principal decides to 720 no-scope him back and says, oh, is that sore loser? And because the school is mostly full of immature people, the entire auditorium's like, oh, he said sore loser. And at that point, the other teachers who are in charge of their own classes start telling everybody like, okay, guys, calm down. Don't do that. We don't insult people like that. Because this is the principal and a teacher doing this. As far as when you're like teaching kids how to behave and how to talk to other people, it's probably not the best thing to have their principal be in like a roast match with a teacher on the first day of school. I think it's funny. I think it's hilarious. I wish I could have seen it. That being said, I'm not the principal. Like, if you are in charge of an elementary school, you can't be having a roast battle with your staff in front of anyone. You probably shouldn't be having a roast battle at all, but you definitely shouldn't in front of the kids. Like it or not, you're kind of a role model at that point. Like, oh yeah, I'm allowed to talk to my mom however I want. My principal talks to teachers like that. Just not a good idea, you know? I don't want to be a principal. But if you are going to choose to be a principal, which both of you competed for this promotion, then you gotta act like a principal. You can't be acting like a donkey. Anyways, the teachers are trying to tell the kids like, okay guys, calm down, don't listen, but that doesn't go over or work at all. Imagine that. You're sitting in the auditorium, your teacher and principal start fighting. Another teacher is like, guys, stop paying attention. I would have looked at them and been like, yeah, I don't know if you know this, but this is probably literally the most entertaining thing that's going to happen this year, so I'm going to be paying very close attention. But when you're trying to teach me how to like conjugate verbs or whatever, maybe I'll think about this to not want to watch paint dry instead of doing whatever it is that we're going to be learning. But thank you for telling me not to pay attention. I'm going to look back at the fight now. So they're trading insults back and forth, and the class, the school, I guess is the better term, is still reacting like, oh, every time they're trading back and forth. But the teacher starts to get more heated and is like, I'm going to come up there and we can argue in front of everyone. And the principal says, come on up here. So he starts to walk up to the front of the auditorium in the stage thing, and all the kids are cheering like it's a WWE wrestling match. You would have thought they just announced that John Cena and The Rock were coming to school to like throw metal chairs at each other. Everyone, the way he's walking walking up there. Oh, it's going down. No way. They're actually gonna do it. I mean, to be fair, it would be pretty sick if like your teacher and your principal are about to just argue in front of everyone. The teacher gets on stage and now they're both by the microphone and they just go back to throwing insults at each other. But now it's escalating. It went from like, you're a loser, to now they're insulting each other, you know, saying things about each other's family, like that type of vibe. It's just getting way too intense. And it gets so intense that even the group of kids, which you think you would be cheering this entire time, goes quiet because they're just digging way too deep into each other. Like, yeah, the reason you have dad problems is because you're a loser. Maybe that's why your dad always told you you sucked and you shouldn't have made the baseball team. And you're like, I just did not need to know that about my teacher or my principal, you know? Yeah, remember that time when you crapped yourself at the Metallica concert? It was because you have bad sphincter control. Like, just going back and forth in front of the school, telling stories that didn't need to be told. And now teachers are starting to walk up there and like yell at them that this isn't appropriate. And the teacher says something like about the principal's wife. At that point, there was a lot of people yelling, so the subscriber doesn't remember exactly what was said, but it's something along the lines of like, your wife's ugly, which is too far. You want to insult each other, that's fine. There's no reason to bring other people's family or like their spouse into it. That's just very unnecessary. But the principal reacts, and at this point they're just both so in the wrong that I don't want anyone to think that I'm defending the other. I'm just saying that like, this is what happened. The principal hears the insult about his wife and decides to punch him in the face. Is that appropriate in front of a school? No. But at the same time, if someone's talking mad crap about your girlfriend, can I understand being mad and hitting them? Kind of. Like, it's just a tricky situation. Definitely not in a school, and definitely not if you're a principal, though. That is 100% for certain. And he just leans back and punches this teacher in the face. And as soon as he hits the teacher, the crowd fires back up again. Like, all the awkwardness that had happened, they're like, oh my gosh, he hit the teacher. And as soon as the principal realizes he's hit the teacher, he immediately like puts his hands up and is like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. A bunch of teachers rush on stage and push them apart. And the kids are just out of control now. People are standing up. People are running in circles being like, oh my God, he hit the teacher. Did you see that? He took his fist. He hit his face. Like freaking out as if it's the only time they've ever seen someone get punched. And for a lot of them, it probably was the first time they saw someone get punched. You're in kindergarten and your principal just like knocked out one of the teachers. But now that all the teachers have broken them up, the teacher who got punched is trying to get out of their hands and go fight. And like finally a bunch of the like office workers, school resource officers, security guard people get up there and they're holding the teachers apart. Or the teacher and the principal. And so then all the teachers that were helping separate them start going back to their class and like start taking kids back to class. And obviously it's insanely chaotic because all the kids are just hyped. They just watched their principal get in a fight, man. A teacher got punched. So as the teachers are taking them back to class, they're trying to calm everyone down. Guys, quiet, inside voices. And everyone's like, oh my God, he got punched. Still, dude, it was like it was still happening. That's how excited everyone was. But whatever, they finally get all these students back to class. The hallway very slowly empties. The sound from in the hallway goes down. But inside the classes, everyone's still talking about it. Like, dude, if I was him, I would have done a karate move, dodged his punch, and then done like a throat chop. You know how is all of a sudden whenever you watch a fight, everybody watching is some expert who would have definitely done something differently. But everyone is talking about it, and the teacher gets up in front of the class and is like, all right, guys, we need to talk about what we just saw. It's very important that we go over why that's not okay. And as to explain to all these kids why it's inappropriate to just punch somebody in the face, even if they call you a loser or make a joke about you. And at the same time, it's wrong to insult people because it could hurt their feelings, which the subscriber who sent this to me was like, yeah, that's obvious, but that's the problem with this situation is you have to explain really weird stuff like that to all these young kids when they just watch their principal principal get in a fight and punch somebody in the face. Someone has to sit him down and go, you can't do that, because yeah, well, the subscriber's smart enough to know that that's not acceptable. Some kid at the school was going to start using this to settle all the playground beef, and when he was asked why he's punching people in the face, just say, oh, well, the principal did it, so I thought it was cool. Like, you just can't really do that in front of a bunch of people. But whatever, the teacher gives them a little bit of a lecture, and they go about the rest of the day as normal as possible. Everyone was still talking about it. But later that day, this subscriber gets home, and he tells his parents all about it, and his parents are like, your principal did what? He got in a fight? Oh my goodness, this is insane. And his mom decides to call the school to try to get to the bottom of what happened, get an official story, and at that point, the school must have been getting flooded with calls because they realize they have like a message on their answering machine, those old things. People still have them, but you know what I'm saying. They have a message on their answering machine and they press play, and it's one of those like calls from the school that they do whenever there's going to be a day off, whenever you miss school, like the semi-automated system. And the school district that this person's from was a little bit smaller, so someone would record a message and they press play, and it's the principal's voice, and it comes over the answering machine, and it's like, attention parents, I wanted to bring to your attention that earlier today I got in a fight with a teacher during a presentation. This was highly unacceptable, and I understand it was highly unacceptable. I'd like to apologize for my da-da-da-da-da. I should never have let my anger get the best of me. Going on one of these apologies, but it's just hilarious. He did like the automated phone call system. Hey, I'm gonna need the automated phone call system. Why? What happened? I punched a teacher in the face, and now I have to apologize because every kid in the school saw it. You did what? Yeah. But he apologized and somehow thought that that was gonna be the end of it. If anything, the apology just made it worse because now everyone was aware of it, and like by the end of school the day after that, the calls for him to step down were getting louder and louder. I don't know what you expect the parents to do. If I found out that my kid's principal was just rolling around punching teachers in the face, I don't know how I'd feel about it either. You're supposed to be in my charge of my kid's education, and you can't even not punch someone in the face? And that goes for the teachers too. Like, clearly the teachers don't respect the principal if they're getting on stage. The entire thing's a disaster. And the principal did step down. Since he stepped down, he was just able to go to like a different school in the district and be a teacher again. But overall, both of them ended up taking the L because the other guy's definitely not going to be principal after the stunt he pulled. And the guy who was principal is never going to get to be principal again after the stunt that he pulled. So everyone loses. That is just the moral of the story. Don't get hyper competitive about things to the point where you're going to get in a fight. I don't really know what the moral is. I just thought this was crazy. Don't punch teachers? I don't know. Take whatever moral you want to out of this one. Anyways, guys, I think that is going to do it for the video, though. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, I would really appreciate y'all taking a second to press the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comment section down below. If you don't know what to comment the word teacher. It just helps the video do better. I'd appreciate it. Just a few things I gotta plug. If you like listening to the story times, but you want to listen offline without gameplay, whatever floats your boat, I do post the story times over on Spotify. Link down below in the description. And I also went ahead and made a new playlist of all my favorite story times of the year so far, so that way you guys can listen to them easily while you're gaming and whatnot, doing chores, whatever floats your boat, without having to like click a different video every 20 minutes. So be sure to check that out. A link to both of those things can be found down in the description, and I would really appreciate it. And yeah, on that note, guys, that'll really do it for the video. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and hopefully I will see each and every single one of you guys next time with another video. Wow, if you made it to this point in the video, you're a super secret, awesome, super loyal, super loyal, extra super loyal ×7 subscriber. Yeah, it's a long title, but if you are someone who's that super swagged out, super subscribed, you should check out the super secret third channel called Scrubbe. I post 2 videos a day over there. Go check it out. Just search Scrubbe in the YouTube bar. There'll be no link, all right? You can search it. I know you guys can spell. But on that note, don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot. I'm out. Peace. Bye.